Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Liao, and today I am here to talk about the conjunction between Saturn and Neptune in the degree 0 of Aries. So, this event is totally important and it is going to mark a turning point in this 2026. So let's remember that Neptune was in March, from March to October of 2025 in Aries. It did a little entrance in here, then it came back to Pisces, and the definite entrance was days ago on January 26th of this year, 2026. It is going to stay here until March of 2039. This is a cycle that is being closed and opened of 164 years. Saturn also did this little entrance to Aries from May to September of 2025, then came back to Pisces, and the definite entrance, it is going to happen on February 13th or 14th, depending on where you are, of 2026 until April of 2028. This cycle of Neptune, the time that takes to go through the whole zodiacal wheel is of 29 years. So these conjunctions occur almost every 36 years, and they open and close cycles that are very important in the collective level that impact political movements, cultural, social, and of course, they are impacting us in the individual level. For example, on 1989, the conjunction was given in Capricorn, and this was in synchrony with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Capricorn symbolizes these structures, both real and symbolic. On 1952 or 53, the conjunction happened because it was both years. The conjunction happened in Libra, and this was in synchrony with the Cold War. Libra symbolizes peace, agreements, and the interaction between opposites. So these descriptions, these events are giving us the indication that, well, we could go through certain events that seem to be a little bit chaotic. So we have to remember that Neptune is the principle of dissolution. It is going to dissolve barriers of the ego, mental layers of the identity, so we can access to spiritual dimensions, intuitive levels, information of the infinite, of the cosmos, so we can bring that to this plane. It is not to escape from this plane. This, in fact, was the shadow that Neptune in Pisces showed to us. Also, it is going to dissolve experiences, specifically talking about Aries. We are referring to directions, visions that we had of the path ahead that doesn't possess a coherence anymore with the function, the predetermined function that the soul came here to accomplish. So our free will are constant decisions in each moment that truly we could make them from the conditionings that we have acquired and with which we have identified, or true listening of our inner voice. I am saying this because not always those conditionings are going to be in opposition to the voice of the soul, but in many circumstances it is going to happen, and this could produce this conflict and fragmentation inside. So our spiritual development depends on unifying these forces so we can focus in the path ahead. Neptune precisely symbolizes unity, which is the recognition that everything that is part of the existence is united to the unique essence of the infinite, even if we are experimenting the illusion of being individuals in separation in here. In other levels, Neptune represents the imagination, the ideals, both individual as, these redemption visions in the collective or religious. And we have to be aware in here because this could respond on one side to desires or dreams of the soul, but frequently human beings distort those desires or those dreams with mental perceptions and desires of the identity that are being born from the conditioning. For example, let's suppose that a person is imagining that, wants to be famous, and the person imagines obtaining recognition by many other people. Probably it is not fame what the person desires, but being seen. having a place in the world, making great contributions to society, but the desire is distorted because perhaps that person wasn't seen by other people, didn't receive that by the caretakers in the childhood. So the vision is directed to what the person thinks that could bring that sensation, when truly is the person the one that needs to recognize what he or she came here to do, to be, to express, and to give. And it doesn't matter if this, if this scene actually happens or not, but it is the intention. So I am explaining this because the Neptunian shadow responds to these illusions or ideals that could be in extreme, completely far away, completely disconnected from reality, even, being a delirium. This is the extreme shadow of Neptune. And it is something that with this conjunction could manifest, in these times. And we could see this a lot in social media. I mean, people with messianic deliriums, that they don't know what they came here to do, but they have this firm belief that they are going to be the saviors of the world. Or people that have ideals and beliefs that are, that became a fanatism to the point that they are very willing to enter in conflict, to attack, and to enter in a battle with other people to impose them. So this is a shadow also of Neptune in Aries. This duality that the individual creates, competing with others or believing that his or her ideals are the best. So other important clarification is that this transit it is going to ask us for making courageously decisions, brave decisions. We cannot stay with one foot in a world and one foot in other. We have to, develop determination. And it is not the same that being there, like putting our energy in opposing towards other people, but we have to be firm to manifest disagreement or the redirection with the things that are not actually aligned with our soul. Saturn is the principle of limit, boundary, structure, and our capacity to assume responsibilities. Another level represents social constructions and what we can consider figures of authority, like leaders or people that have authority in specific matters. For example, a master of something could be a Saturnian figure, but also it is related with regulatory structures in society, as the police, as the militaries. And we have to notice that we need those external regulations, because most of individuals in our society in general, they don't have the capacity of self-regulate, so we don't have to expect a boundary from the outside. I am commenting this because it could take a long travel, a long journey. And perhaps it could seem very far away from what we are experimenting today. But I think that the processes are leading us to co-create a society that aware, in a level that we won't need that kind of regulation in a future. I don't know in how many years, but in a future. So the last year, Saturn and Neptune, they have been practically all the year in conjunction, in Pisces and in Aries. In July, it came almost to an exact point, but it's going to be perfected officially on February 20th of this 2026 in the degree 0 with 44 minutes, a degree that is very, very important of this cardinal sign. Each time that the sun touches the mathematical degree 0, we have an equinox. This is the initiatic point of the energy, the symbol, the symbol of the Big Bang, or Tzimtzum, as it is called in Kabbalah. Therefore, you have to understand that this is not going to have an impact only in February, but along the whole 2026, and it is opening a cycle totally new for the next 36 years. It is going to be a breaking with old orders that gives place to a new humanity. This is what Aries represents, the phase where the baby is open his way through the birth canal to be born. So this is going to require for us to recognize a strength and a force inside of us that perhaps we didn't unfold before, to move forward in the path. Aries is ruled by Mars. So this is the masculine, the primary masculine force of aggressiveness and desire. And if our world has many manifestations of violence, it is because on one side, many individuals have been repressing and denying their internal force. Perhaps they are avoiding to decide to say no, to step into their places, or going for the things that they truly desire. And this could be reflected in other polarization in which other people are manifesting that in an impulsive way, with desires that are totally selfish, and in the worst of the cases, destructive. So Neptune here invites us to reconsider all of these imbalances that could be manifested in each one of us, and also from this spirituality that is not well interpreted. I mean, this spirituality where we think that being compassive or opening ourselves to a higher comprehension is always tolerate what the soul doesn't want to tolerate anymore, and doesn't and shouldn't. And other expression could be wanting to impose my vision of what is good, what I think that everyone should do to so good can happen. And this could end up unfolding qualities that are very authoritarian, impositive, and violent, as every dictator of the history. The initial motivations of Hitler were born from wanting to develop a higher society, but in the distortion of associating this to a racial superiority, that today we could translate this to other ideology or religious belief. Even, religious are in this profound crisis today. But his intentions didn't born from inspiring human integrity and the increasing of consciousness, so people can overcome themselves or their own patterns and discover how each one of them came here to bring a light to the world, because not everyone came here to do it in the same way. And that's why we are experimenting being individuals, because that does have a purpose, a function. And I was mentioning this because in the video that I did on the last year of Saturn, I commented that the Nazi party was consolidated with Saturn in Aries. And not only that, it was accompanied by the society. So the story, the history, it is not destined to be repeated in the exact way, in the same exact way, but we could see things that are similar in the great evolutionary spiral. It is just that this time, because of the transits and the planetary phase that we are experimenting, in one way or another, we are going to be impulsed to transcendence. And depends on us how we want to experiment that. In the case of Neptune in Aries, again, this doesn't remain in a spirituality where we are, running away in our inner world or in our meditation. This is something that could be contributing a lot, but we need to go out and experiment life and face experiences that are going to reveal what we are, who we are, and what we came here to do. And the Saturnian quality is going to imply greater maturity regarding direction and regarding time. This is also Saturn, in which the actions or the new steps are required. This means patience on one side, because one of the typical lessons of Saturn is this one, and because the shadow of Aries is wanting things for yesterday, or vice versa. Could be waiting for the ideal moment where we have to take that initiative, when I am not experimenting fear anymore, or I am feeling totally capable of doing that thing, and that moment never comes. So their life pushes us and puts a pressure so we can start. Also, the maturity has to be developed in the level of intentions, like, are you doing that to compete or to win something, with someone else? Or is that really an act of overcoming yourself or of improving yourself? Are you desiring going into a direction because that is truly an impulse of the spirit, or it is being born from a comparison, wanting external approval, or the illusion that immediate result it is going to rescue from your own inner patterns that are not allowing to be present and in peace? Because frequently people are desiring results or experiences that are not in coherence with what their soul wants truly. So are you making decisions that are possessing connection with your soul, or you are doing things because you want to do and move, running away from what you are feeling at the present? It is an escapism, or perhaps because of pressures, external pressures. This is other expression, whether of the environment or structures of the old system, what I call the old system that is collapsing. And we saw this in 2020. And truly, it is us allowing those pressures. I think that the integration is more about, without investing too much energy in defending ourselves, because frequently we don't require that. We do that because precisely we feel very threatened, and that survival is also Aries. But this is about staying firm in what we truly recognize that is correct for us, not what others want to impose. And this could be a very challenging experience. On the contrary, could be other people that they have to take a determinant action because they are avoiding that, because they are avoiding themselves or avoiding their fears. So in those cases, we have to understand that the energy is going to circulate the same. And if we are not putting that in a place that can actually produce growth, we are going to deposit that in things that actually don't have sense for our soul. And also that aggressiveness, that repressed aggressiveness, we could attract that from the external. I mean, this is going to be expressed by others, or other very Saturnian case. Blockages in other areas of life could be produced. So we have right now the pressure to act and to change our experience. But this pressure is actually evolutionary, not as the other example. So this transit is going to show, according to the process of each one of us, all of the things that we need to develop maturity regarding these things. And we could experiment situations that are testing us, or consequences or experiences that could frustrate us in determined moments, in certain moments. But this is to not forget that it is important to have directions and goals, but not whatever direction or goal. We cannot forget about the spiritual dimension, and this, whatever thing that we are doing has to be aligned with that. We are going to be impulsed to go towards things that are beneficial in our inner growth and external growth, but also are beneficial for the collective. And it could be that in certain moments we have to sacrifice our desires of the ego. This means to make sacred our actions for a higher well-being. And even if at that moment what we have to do, it is not, we are not perceiving that as totally beneficial for our individual, but eventually always does, because that creates that state of inner union that nothing outside could actually offer, and in the long term always contributes. Clearly, we don't have to confuse this, especially with people that have been experimenting lives with this excessive disponibility or willingness, this imbalanced willingness to be able, for other people. These people are going to probably have lessons that are coming from learning to put boundaries in a very concrete way, and to start to redirect their energy in their individual purposes, making things in an independent way so they can collaborate with others. And well, on the other side, it is very important to understand that the result could be something very, very that brings a lot of satisfaction, especially when we have dedicated a lot of consistency and sustained energy. But it is totally linked to the process in the present and what we require to mature, to develop maturity right now. And if the present is this race to get to a point, we aren't actually living life. And also, ways the plan can totally change, because Saturn and Neptune are connected with Pluto in Aquarius and ahead with Uranus in Gemini. So we have to be very, very open that these directions can take totally unexpected forms. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.